Uh, Ryan, we're going to have some conversations, man. We're definitely going to have some deep conversations. And I hope the live chat, this is like a therapy session. And I hope you guys can have an open mind about a lot of these things.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
Welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still rattled by that loss. I really am. And this is why I'm glad Ryan is here. We can talk a few things out. I feel like there's things that we do need to talk about, and we need to look at a way how we can overturn this, because for me, Real Madrid is not I've always respected them. Yeah, recently there's been some banters in my videos and whatnot about Real Madrid. Yeah, but that's how we roll with banters. But they're a beatable team. They're not your Cities and your Liverpools. They can be beat, and we need to figure out how to come back. If we play like that, we are dead. Ryan, my boy, how you doing?
Nothing. I was there for the watch along, and we felt all the emotions together. But hopefully we could come together now and really talk about it, man, because there's a lot of things to talk about, and we've thought about it thoroughly in this past few hours, and hopefully we could give these lovely viewers something that they could hold on to and think about too going forward.
Yeah. I think that's the most important part going forward, because we're going to touch on some crazy comments post match from Thomas Tuchel as well. He's absolutely angry, so we're going to touch on a lot of that. We're going to do a lot of punditry, but let's get straight into the tactical side of things, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan, I don't want to talk about too much about attack because we've touched on our attack and it's been rubbish for a while. Let's be honest about it. Let's be brutally honest about it, that our attack, we got no clue when it comes to very well organized oppositions. And we've seen that recently with Brentford and now with Real Madrid, but we've always seen that with many other teams as well. What I want to talk to you about, Ryan, is this misconception. A lot of people are having that, oh, Christensen was so rubbish, this, that, the other. Look, I get it. Christensen wasn't great against Vinicius, but then again, not many players are that good against Vinicius. But it wasn't just Christensen. There was fundamentally something wrong in that whole midfield setup, and Azpilicueta getting dragged out and the defense shifting, and then other players like Mount and Reece James not covering up. I want you to talk to us how we got defensively done. And once again, much like the Brentford game, our midfield was so open. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. So, Real Madrid, they start with a 4-3-3, as you can see there, right? But typically this time they build play using a 3-3-1-3. So if you look carefully, you would see that, had a back three here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sorry guys, I don't have any names, but
I can see what's going on though. I can see.
But let's just see a 3-3-1-3 here. Just for some context, this is Benzema, this is Vinicius.
Do you want to just quickly draw the lines? I think you can quickly just draw the line, right? You've got that line maker. Yeah. You just go 3 and then 3, yeah, so that people can just see. So yeah, there you go. That's the 3. That's the other 3. And that's 3-3-1-3. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Bro. So what you see here is that this is the two center backs here. This is Mendy, this is Carvajal, this is Casemiro, this is Cruz, this is Modric in attacking midfield, as you saw here, and Valverde, Benzema, Vinicius, right? So yep. You take that into consideration. As you can see here, what this did from the get-go is that you can see that, hold on, the intent using this staggered 3-3-1-3 formation was that it creates a wide overload, right? It creates a wide overload, and you could have seen it. You could have seen that Real Madrid was building play through wide areas, areas, and then getting it across, right? Yep. So this is what was going on. How did Chelsea respond to this? Chelsea implemented a drum rolls. They implemented a 4-1-4-1 shape. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't wait for a drum rolls, bro. But they implemented a 4-1-4-1, right? So it looks something like hold on, like this.
Yep.
If you watch your TV screen, this is how it looked: a 4-1-4-1.
4 at the back, 1 with Jorginho, 4 in the middle, Kai up front.
Yeah, if you look closely, and why a lot of people were saying, yeah, Tuchel got it tactically wrong in the first half. That's why we looked so, out of sorts defensively. I say no, because if you look at this 3-3-1-3 and our 4-1-4-1, you can see. Let me get out some drawings again. Right, let me put it in red this time. Right, you can see that 1v1. We are matched up. We are matched up 1v1 with all the midfielders, right?
Yeah.
With all the attackers. Even Benzema, you could have gotten 2 people around Benzema, right? You could have gotten 1 person on Valverde, 1 person on Vinicius, right? So I know this is on it, but you see we are matched up man marking wise towards these players, right?
Yeah, tactically, as you said, we are set. We are set up to count, to hold them.
Yeah. But what you see here is since this man marking happens, right, Miz? What do I always stress? You need to get numerical advantage, right?
Always.
Right. So what happened here is that originally a midfielder, Valverde, dropped deep.
Yep.
To get that numerical advantage to become that outlet in build up. So now they'd have numerical advantage. So now instead of being man marked, they would kind of spread out.
And that dragged Azpilicueta because Aspi was getting dragged in that area.
Exactly. So what happened here is that eventually, Aspi was marking Valverde, right? So Aspi went up into midfield here to mark Valverde. And what happened is that now there was this huge gap to be covered here because even though the thing is, even though on paper this looks fine, when the ball actually progresses forward, right, you would see things like eventually this fullback would want to overlap and stuff, right? So what would happen is that this gap needs to be covered, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be covered. So what happened is that, as you know, our whole back line.
Yeah, that's why Rudiger was acting as a left back.
Rudiger was acting as a left back. Back line shifted to the left.
Yeah.
Our whole back line shifted to the left. And all of a sudden, when our whole back line shifted to the left, there was now a plethora of space allowed for Vinicius. Now, Miz, I want to ask you a question, which I ask everybody in my thread, which is dropped now, so go and check it out. But I told everybody in my thread.
Make sure you check that out.
So a lot of people will blame Azpilicueta. Why is he in midfield? People would blame Christensen. Why isn't he tracking Vinicius? People will blame Reece James. Why didn't he track back and make a back? Well, to be a wing back, right? But I would say is that, watch me carefully. Here is so compact, right? Here is so compact. We have them 1v1 here, all their midfielders. See these 3 midfielders, these 2 midfielders here? We have them 1v1. So why on earth is the ball allowed to reach Vinicius?
It shouldn't be. It just simply shouldn't be.
So forget Azpilicueta, forget Christensen, forget Reece James. Everybody who's blaming those 3. My question is, why did the ball reach Vinicius? Right? And the thing is that it really comes down to, within these man-marking 1v1 situations, Chelsea was not good enough in closing down these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players.
I can tell you right away, Aspi wasn't close enough to Valverde, and Valverde was consistently finding Benzema.
Yeah, and even Jorginho couldn't close down Modric. Can't even Kante. The board here is looking very nice towards Pulisic and Mount, but realistically, there was probably here. Mount was probably here. So it was, and Reece James was here. So realistically, even though it's 1v1 numerically, these players had the space because they weren't getting closed down enough fast enough. Either they weren't getting closed down at all, they weren't getting closed down fast enough, and it was too lethargic and not enough intensity. What it's allowed to do is it allowed them to start passing the ball amongst each other and even toying around with Chelsea.
They should not have that much space to pass around. We got to be in their face. We have to be tight. And I can tell you, all the players that you've just mentioned, Aspi, Jorginho, Kante, Pulisic, that group, and even on that side, Mount, Reece, none of them were tight. They were not tight with the players.
Yeah, and even like this, they were smart enough to realize, okay, well, our backline is stretched now. Christensen is in a predicament with Vinicius and stuff. So what happens here now? There's more space for Benzi to get in behind. So they started even sending passes straight where you could flick on, or even crosses into the box where he eventually scored. And that flick where Vinicius got, that's how it happened. So it was my whole thing is that once the ball entered this midfield zone, Chelsea supposed to rush like pit bulls and wolves and win that ball in midfield. If they won the ball in midfield, we could have taken advantage of their back line. We could have broke away. We could have gotten more chances to score. And this is why, I would say though, the first time Vinicius got that flick, I believe the flick was the first one he got, and then he cut in and he scored.
Yep.
I understand if Reece James was implemented to mark Mendy, right, in a 4-1-4-1, right? But I would say that after the first time realizing what was going on, Reece James should have been back, thinking about the situation. I would not say he is to blame, but I would say I wouldn't even say I expected it, because we've seen Reece James have these tendencies to lose his marker. Even though he's physically a specimen, tactically sometimes he doesn't have that understanding sometimes. But which is okay. He's only like 21. But
he's young.
He didn't read that danger, because you shouldn't have Tuchel telling you, look, there's danger on. No, it's I see this as a football player. I understand this is danger. Let me come back.
Because he would just drag him forward again, drag Reece James forward again. From that area, he should see what is transpiring behind him on a regular basis, that Real Madrid is trying to get to Vinicius because the rest of the team are not closing people. He should see Reece James from that location where he is, that there's a bit of danger happening. Let me drop down a little bit and ensure defensively we're not opened up. And then once we sort of calm things down, we can go again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because, I would say that these players, as Feliqueta, Rudiger, they had to close these gaps. You know why? Because if we did not close them down, and Valverde and Modric got the ball 2v1 against Jorginho, we could have been in massive trouble. Could have been a massacre. Benzi would have dropped it. Then they would have runners in behind and stuff like that. It would have been tiki-taka football straight through our back line. So they had to close these spaces. They had to. But unfortunately, we did not read it properly. I wouldn't blame Christensen for it, because honestly, on one end, you're thinking about Benzema, who's going to run in behind. So you have to watch out. So he was really in a predicament. He had to watch out for both of them, and it was not a good situation for. Whereas Thiago Silva is 1v1. If you look at it closely, Christensen was 2v1, and he should never be in that position in the first place. I think that is why Reece James supposed to track his runner here, I would say.
No, absolutely well said, man. This is exactly what I saw as well. This is why I can't sit here and say, it was all Christensen's fault. It was, mate, you got to look at it from a holistic point of view. Christensen, as Ryan so well said, he was in a predicament. What am I meant to do? Like, am I going to let Thiago be 1v1 with Benzema, where there could be trouble as well? And Benzema did trouble Thiago Silva. A lot of people, Ryan, do you remember there was that 1-2 with Vinicius, and Vinicius went behind Christensen? Do you remember that particular play?
Yeah.
A lot of people were blaming Christensen for that. I was sort of thinking, why isn't Thiago Silva closer to Benzema? Why is that 1-2 happening? Because that cone with Vinicius, he can make a pass to Benzema, but it's Thiago who needs to be tighter on Benzema, making sure that pass doesn't go to him. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and the thing is, we could go up about these backline issues, but the main thing is that the ball should not even reach there in the first place.
It shouldn't even reach there in the first place. That's right. It shouldn't even reach there. Let's talk a little bit about. I just want to bring something up now. I think it's now time to see what Thomas Tuchel had to say, because we're going to base a lot of our conversation on this now. Thomas Tuchel on being unhappy. What do you expect? To stand here and smile? No, we don't have to go to Madrid. We go to Southampton. This is very important and crucial to go there. I will make sure everybody processes this. If we keep playing like this, we lose at Southampton and then get hammered in Bernabéu.
When I said this last video, everybody hating on me. What Tuchel says it?
Ryan, this is some scathing conversation from Thomas Tuchel. Like, this isn't frustration anymore. He's quite fed up with what he's seeing. Because what you just explained to me in the tactical board, that his tactics is not, without the ball, his tactics isn't wrong.
Yeah.
Some of the players are not, I don't know why, are not being tight enough, being aggressive enough. As you said, they're not being pit bulls. They need to be pit bulls. We're not Barcelona, ladies and gentlemen. We're not Man City. We're not Bayern Munich. We don't have Pedris. We don't have Fodens. We don't have KDBs. We don't have ballers like Bayern Munich. So what do we have to rely on? We need to rely on players being pit bulls. We don't have the maestros. Do you know what I mean? A lot of you might say, oh, but Jorginho, but Jorginho doesn't turn it on every second. We're talking about classic maestros, passing masters. Ryan, how do you see these comments from Thomas Tuchel, bro?
At one point I could understand. I think that, the players, as we said, there's a portion of the game that we were set up fantastically, 1v1 against Real Madrid, where we're supposed to, within that tactical framework, supposed to win and win those battles. But what we said, Miz, earlier, off air, is that it seems that off the ball, Tuchel is setting us tactically on point, and our players are not doing what they're supposed to do within that setup. But on the ball is a different issue, but we may feel like tactically Tuchel may not be doing enough to get, asking more questions of defenses. So in one long story short, I do agree on Tuchel, but I also think that fingers should be pointed towards players, but also towards the manager.
Oh, 100%. 100%. We're going to get to the manager because attacking-wise, we've talked about it, but we want to talk about it in a different sense now. Thomas Tuchel, we changed the formation and wanted to turn things around. Personally, I thought there was enough where we could hurt them, but we were so off what we demand. Let's talk a little bit about this, because I don't disagree with Thomas Tuchel here before we look at other things about this particular situation that we find ourselves in. Ryan, no disrespect to Real Madrid, and all banter aside, this Real Madrid is not your cities of the world. You're not Liverpool's of the world. This Real Madrid team can be beaten, but not with that team that rocked up at Stamford Bridge. From what I see, from what Thomas Tuchel is saying here, we changed the formation and we wanted to turn things around. Personally, I thought there was enough where we could hurt them. Do you believe he's right to say that there was enough there to hurt Real Madrid?
I mean, chances-wise, there was enough to hurt them. But it was bare minimum. It was bare minimum chances to hurt them. It was a weird deflection header. It was a good header for the next one. Yes, they had chances, but is a repetitive pattern where Chelsea are not creating enough variety of chances. Listen, Tuchel come and say we had 16 shots or whatever.
Yeah.
You can watch our shots sometimes, our statistics is good or it's bad. You can watch statistics, but when you watch it on the eye and watching football, the types of chances we create is almost always from a cross coming in from wide areas. But we do not have any variety in the questions we ask defenses, whether it's from long balls, whether it's from a counter press, whether it's from diagonal crosses, whether it's from playing between the lines centrally, tiki-taka. We'd have teams like Bayern Munich and Barcelona and those attack Man City, Liverpool ask questions in 4 or 5 different ways of a low block.
Yeah.
Whereas Chelsea asks one question, which is go wide, pass side to side, side to side, go wide, hit a cross in. So I think that really comes down to coaching. I know, obviously, I'm not going to run away from the fact that there's many persons in Chelsea that doesn't have the quality to go 1v1 like other teams do, like how a Gnabry would have, a Dembele would be, a Koeman would be being 1v1 on the wing, etc., or passes in behind, etc. But I would say we have good enough players to ask more questions. It might not be perfect, but it could be better.
Let's talk about this, because this, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan has been saying this all throughout the watch along as well, and this is a new concept that I want to start. Not a new concept, but it's the question that we need to now talk about, and I hope you guys understand this. Ryan talks about Chelsea Football Club not asking enough questions or having different variety of methods in opening up the opposition. This is bang on. This is bang on. When was the last time we systematically opened up an opposition with a through ball or a chip pass, or one off Jorginho, nice ball to Kai Havertz recently? I'm talking about on a regular basis. On a regular basis, who's doing that? Generally, what we do is what Ryan just said. We side to side passes, try and go to the byline, go wide and try and whip in a cross. And our crosses aren't even penetrating. They're not even penetrating. I mean, Ryan, you saw Modric's cross for Benzema, asking a different question, asking something. It's a different variety. We don't necessarily have to go through with Vinicius. Ball can come to Modric in the middle of the midfield. He sees an excellent movement from Benzema and he picks him out. And that too, epic header from Benzema. He was off balance. Ryan, this is where I feel like the coach needs to be blamed a little bit, because who gives the authority? Someone needs to, I don't know. Does the coach need to give that authority to the players, or the players decide that they can do that kind of stuff in game? Like, because we saw Jorginho deliver that cross for Kai Havertz as well. So why not try and do that type of play? A different question, as you said, different variety of questions. Who is in charge of, I suppose, providing questions? That's what I'm trying to say, Ryan.
Well, let me tell you. From the top of my head, I'd say Real Madrid asked us 3 questions, right? 1, they would play crosses from wide areas, inverted or even wide. 2, they would have Benzema as a target man, who would then play the ball horizontally between the lines to Vinicius, so they could attack our back line. And then 3, they would switch play, right? Through short passes. So that's 3 ways. When I think about Chelsea, we only ask 1 question, but you said whose responsibility it is. I believe that this should be drilled into players, because when you watch training sessions of other coaches and they do like Bielsa's training session, etc., they do set up equipment and apparatus, etc., to play these kind of crosses, to play these kind of balls, for players to make these kind of runs in behind. And this supposed to be, it shouldn't be them thinking, oh, this should happen. No, it should be natural that in training we have asked these 4 questions, and we should be asking it regularly during the game. It isn't for Jorginho to come once in 8 games and play 1 through ball, lofted through ball. No, it isn't good enough. and that has to be asked to the coach. But the thing is, I would say this. I want to reiterate this to everybody, right? Tuchel could make us better by asking more questions.
Yeah.
Would we would we ask the questions properly? Maybe not, because we don't have the players to go 1v1, etc. We don't have the best personnel to play that football, but we have okay enough personnel to play better football than this. So
100%.
we could go halfway. We mightn't go all 5 steps forward, but I think Tuchel could be responsible for us to begin 3 steps forward. And then in the transfer window, we could go that extra 2 steps forward. You understand what I'm saying? It's not black and white. It's not good and bad. We could improve. We may not be the best team ever, but we could improve. And I think that's where Tuchel comes in.
No, 100%. So this is something that you need to train hours and hours in the training ground, and then it becomes a natural instinct. As you said, Jorginho shouldn't have these assists once every blue moon. It should be multiple times in a game, penetrating the opposition to the position where they're just scared. They're scared. They're worried every time we have the ball. Now, the opposition actually thrives when we have the ball. They're like, you have the ball because you're not good enough. We're going to catch you out. And that's a bad recipe. Let's talk about the next phase. We've talked about, ladies and gentlemen, the defense and the structure against Real Madrid. We've now talked about the attack, and Thomas Tuchel needs to take some blame. We have to now talk about, as Ryan just touched on it, that some of these players, they don't have certain abilities 1v1, but they're still okay-ish. But we're going to talk about some of these players now because we want to look forward now, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to come out of this. Somehow we need to come out of this, or the season is going to run away from us. I think this is a good segue. Thomas Tuchel on Andres Christensen and N'Golo Kante changes. It was a tactical change. It's like always, it's never on one player or 2 players. We lost shape and sharpness after the international break. I don't have an explanation. I have to be honest, Ryan. I don't think it's just the international break. We've been getting jammy victories. I just want to bring this up. Let me actually bring up Chelsea's fixtures and actually visualize which particular game have we been playing well recently. So give me 1 second before we get deep into this conversation. Okay, Club World Cup finished. We weren't great in Club World Cup, ladies and gentlemen. I was there live. We won. That's all I can say. We weren't majestic. 1-0 against Palace. Jammy victory right at the end. I think it was Hakim Ziyech. This game against Lille, we were good. I personally thought we beat their press. We attacked them well. We should have scored more goals. I thought we were good in that game. Liverpool, finishing let us down. But then again, Liverpool opened us. That was a more of an even game. I'm not going to complain too much. Luton probably should have won that. Let's be honest. We somehow managed to get a victory right at the end. I don't know how. Burnley, I think it was the second half because I'm pretty sure it was 0-0. Yeah, it was second half. And I remember Ryan doing a video saying, if it wasn't for Reece James doing a madness 1v1, none of the other goals end up happening. So once again, it wasn't really the attack that opened things up for us in that particular match. So let's go back again. Burnley 4-0. Okay. Norwich, classic Mason Mount, shows up against Norwich. Good on him. Newcastle, not the greatest either. Not the greatest. I think it was a Kai Havertz. It was a Jorginho ball, right, Ryan? Jorginho long ball that found Kai Havertz. Once again, Newcastle almost had the answer. We did not have any answer for the low block. Chelsea versus Lille. I think Lille played better, but we showed good resilience to come back. But I don't think we were that fluent in that particular match. First leg, we were. Middlesbrough against Chelsea, we were actually quite good in that FA Cup. I have to say, we weren't that bad. We were fairly good, but it was a very rotated side. Then we went to the international break. We got battered by Brentford. Not good. Not good at all. And against Real Madrid, we looked like we were school kids. So you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, all the people that have been saying recently, oh, but we've been playing good though. No, we've not been playing good. We've just been getting wins somehow. We're not being good.
I mean, Miss, I feel like a lot of like I'm not one to judge. Like I'm some football guru who watches all types of football, etc., etc. What I'm saying is that people should come out of the take off the Chelsea hat a bit and try to watch better teams than Chelsea play football.
Yep.
And then you'd understand the things that we're trying to say. It's not because we're hating on Tuchel that we want Tuchel to adopt others people tactics. No. It's because that there's a lot of better football out there. If you watch teams like Bayern play, now Barcelona play, if you watch Man City, well, everybody watches them, but Man City, Liverpool, etc., the top European teams, if you watch them play, you would realize how far Chelsea still has to go. And then you would probably find yourself enjoying those matches more. And then when you come to watch Chelsea, you realize that we do not play enjoyable football to watch. And we love Tuchel. We know what he's capable of. We love these players. We know what some of them are capable of. But at the end of the day, both coming together as one under the Chelsea crest is not good enough football, and it hasn't been good enough for the longest while. I would say that throughout this whole season, we have not improved. We have not.
Let's talk about this, Ryan, because live chat. I know you guys were in the watch along as well, and a lot of you guys said that we play boring football. You've said it. These are not our words. Don't be coming later on in the comments saying, "Oh, look at these two just talking down on Tuchel." No, we want Thomas Tuchel to stay, but we need to be real. We need to be real about this situation, and the reality is we've not been great for a little while. Now, a lot of people may say, "Oh, when Ben Chilwell was on, we were great." And once again, I have to say, Ryan, off air when we finished up our watch along, he's spot on. How many games were we good with Ben Chilwell as well? Do you remember when we played Brentford the first time? Ben Chilwell was playing. It was Ben Chilwell's goal, but we got battered by Brentford that first game in the Premier League.
Yeah,
it was only Juventus, Leicester, and I think the one before before Leicester, I can't remember, or maybe one after.
Burnley.
No, it was the one after. Now, Burnley we drew, bro. Burnley we drew. Exactly. Even earlier on in the season, it was really Leicester and Juventus where we looked very good with our fullback. So it's not really, we're not really talking about 10 games or something like that.
Even though we looked good with our fullbacks, it wasn't sustainable. Because where we had Reece James and Chilwell playing between the lines in the pockets while we implemented wide wingers, and if you remember that, it worked for 2 games. It would have probably worked for 3 or 4 more games if Chilwell didn't get injured. But what we would see is that in between those lines, in those pockets, we don't want Chilwell and Reece James there. They aren't creative attacking midfielders. Right? Eventually, we need to sort out the problem that who is going to roam between those lines in those pockets centrally, who is going to play that final pass, who is going to take on players and turn, who is going to shoot, who is going to beat players.
I mean, Ryan, surely Chelsea fan base, including us as well in the fan base, we didn't expect Reece James and Ben Chilwell to score 10 goals and 15 assists this season, did we? That's not the expectation, right?
Yeah. So
sooner or later, we would have to find our attackers to click.
So even though it worked for a couple games, I'm not of the belief that what other people say that if they were here, we would be chasing for the title, etc. At the end of the day, we have co-attacking issues to fix. Yes, Tuchel found a creative way with those inverted wing backs, but it isn't sustainable. If you watch Man City's inverted fullbacks, they act as deep midfielders, which is sustainable. Whereas our one was acting like Bernardo Silva and stuff in between those pockets. They aren't supposed to play there. And the thing is, Miss, what I really want to reiterate is that when Tuchel came from January to May, we made that first step. We had a German identity. We looked like a Bundesliga team. We were pressing, we were winning the ball, we were playing quick, attacking, good football, and we defended really well. We defended like an Italian team and we attacked like a German team and pressed like a German team. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And the thing is, we had the perfect opportunity to make that second step this season. I wouldn't say challenge for the title, but I would say to put the nail into the coffin of that style of play. We saw the makings of it, but I wanted to make it something permanent, something that a stamp on our identity.
Just on that then, before we go to the final part of this segment where I want to talk about the future, because we do need to figure out a way how we can overturn this against Real Madrid. Just on that, what you just said, Ryan, we should have taken the step forward. Do you kind of blame the board during the summer then, Ryan, that what was the theory behind players like Saul, behind players like Lukaku? Did they really do their homework as to how do we take the football to the next step, the next level? Because, Ryan, as you remember, we were talking about all of this during summer as well, getting all hyped up with Lukaku and whatnot. A lot of us probably realized we needed wing backs. We needed maybe a defensive midfielder that is capable of playing, well with the ball. Someone like Shermani. I mean, yeah, we needed a striker as well, no doubt. Because if Werner put in his goals, then we wouldn't have this conversation. But Timo Werner couldn't put those chances. That's why we are in the mess. That's why we had to get a striker. But do you feel, Ryan, maybe the board just didn't put enough effort to ensure that Thomas Tuchel took us to the next level after a glamorous half season that he had, half a season last season?
So on the Lukaku thing first, I want to say for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I stand by the Lukaku signing. He was top 5, maybe top 3 strikers that season. We went out there, we got him.
There's no doubt about this. There's no doubt about that.
And the thing is, while Kai is doing good right now, I don't see long-term Kai being a striker who will score 30 goals. He hasn't been a striker throughout his whole career. Yes, he could act as a center attacking midfielder like Müller, who could act as a second, like a goal striker.
Second striker, yeah.
And he could still roam to the wing and stuff like he does now, but I still believe that we need a goal-scoring striker. And I feel that Lukaku fits that mold, but we haven't been able to get the best out of him. And obviously, he has some parts to blame too with his effort, etc. Right? So
that header against Real Madrid.
I don't even mind header and stuff because he's a classic finisher, right? He's a good finisher. I'm thinking about what Ishana was talking about last year and what effort and this and that,
Yeah.
But there's two to tango, right, in this. But I would say when it comes down to a transfer window, what you asked me is that I would say selling players is just as important as buying players.
True.
Because when you think about it, yes, on paper, we needed wing backs to make that next step. But the only way we're going to get those wing backs is if we sell our second current ones. We stuck with Aspi and we stuck with Alonso.
And Emerson. I mean, Emerson's not sold yet. He's going to come back. Lyon's not buying him.
Exactly. So we did not. So I can't talk about bringing in wing backs until we sell them off, and we couldn't because nobody wanted to buy them right after a pandemic, and rightly so. You know what I mean? When I think about Saul, I think it was a good signing because it was a cheap alternative to instead of buying a player, we could have gotten a good quality player on loan, a bench player on loan. I stick by it. Maybe Tuchel didn't know how to use him at first, but he figured it out. Right?
Mm-hmm. And it's mad how Saul's not being used.
So
Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ryan, is getting ahead.
Yeah, that is just another one of Tuchel's decision that some of decisions is genius and some of it is questionable, like every other manager, and this is just one of them. But as I said, Miz, we could talk about the board how much, but at the end of the day, we didn't successfully sell the players we needed to, and that is on the board too. But we shouldn't. So we didn't take that second step,
And what's the point of talking about the board anymore? I mean, we don't even have.
We don't have a board anymore. So
we can't. What's the point of blaming? These guys are trying to sort themselves out now anyway. So I feel sad. Todd Bowley had to see that match. Potential new owner had to see that crazy match against Real Madrid. Ryan, let's talk about the final part. Let's talk about Ryan, I need to turn this around. I can't sit here and say that our Chelsea team is not good enough, because for me, that Real Madrid team can be beaten. This is not Man City beating us 3-1. We have to go to the Etihad. Case closed. I get it. It's at the Bernabéu. Not easy. I understand fully. But I feel this Real Madrid team can be beat. They're not a monster team. We can beat them. Ryan, tell me how we are going to beat them.
Well, what I said about asking more questions, that isn't going to happen over 2 training sessions and 5 days, 6 days, right? When I think about changing our philosophy of play, the more attacking philosophy, crosses from inverted areas, tiki-taka football, this and that wouldn't happen until next season, right? We have 1 month and a half left of the season again. What Tuchel needs to do is make sure his tactics is right, like today when his tactics was right, but also the players need to fulfill their duty within those tactics, meaning that the intensity should be on. Everybody should know their role. They should have that hunger. I don't want to sound like Frank Lampard here, but they need to be quicker. They need to be faster. They need
the desire. Where's the passion?
Yeah, because I think that structurally for most, I think last game was the only one structurally where our midfield was kind of isolated. But otherwise, our midfield not midfield, our tactics structurally is really good defensively, I would say.
Yeah, besides these last 2 games, I've never seen us getting opened like that. Like, I don't remember any of those matches where oppositions have opened us up, like, for fun.
Yeah, and I think that we aren't going to turn around this season with our attack. As I said, our attack will take a few weeks in preseason and saw 1 or 2 new signings for it to become where it needs to be, or at least begin doing that. Well, we are going to win these few matches with our defense and capitalizing on teams' weaknesses, right? Simple as that. So like today, what could have happened is that we had midfield advantage 3 versus 2 in attack, because with Modric pushing high up as a winger, they defended in a 5-2-3. We had 3v2 in the midfield. We could have taken advantage of that, but we didn't, because our midfield players didn't drive forward and send balls in behind and challenge them. So what I'm saying is that our defense will not only make us not concede, but it will also get us chances to win the ball in midfield areas so that we could break away and attack. That's how I see us going forward. It will be more like problem solving and winning from behind. Not in goals capacity, but winning from a defensive approach. And then next season, we could see how we could put in our attacking philosophy and right our wrongs from this season, which I feel is a season wasted.
It is a season wasted, man. It is a season wasted. I know there's been a lot of adversities. I get it, like injuries, the whole pandemic situation. I mentioned injuries. I was going to say injuries again. Lukaku, infamous interview. And who's going to forget the whole ownership debacle that just took place? I get it.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot, to be honest.
And also personally, Thomas Tuchel's going through, the divorce and whatnot. It's not been easy. I get that. But we cannot have this next season. We cannot have this next season. Whatever's happened this season, it's gone. The way I look at it, we need to turn this around against Southampton. How are we going to do that? Some really, really tough, good conversation needs to happen. A proper plan as to how many questions can we ask Southampton. We need to put Southampton away. We have to win against Southampton because there's also a chasing pack in the Premier League. Like few wins, a few drop points, and before you know it, Spurs and Arsenal are knocking on the door. And we could be very well outside of top 4. So we better wake up. We have to play more penetrating football. We need to be asking a lot more questions regularly. I do not want to see 62%, 70% possession just moving the ball side to side. No. Let's punch. Penetrating passes, punch. Now you may say, but Miz, that's risky, one missed time pass. And then
counter press. That's why we have so much numbers forward,
Counter press.
But as I said, these issues. I know you said we should do it against Southampton, but that needs to be trained. That needs to be instilled, and we don't have that time. What we need to be is that Tuchel needs to find a way to study Southampton, which he does. His team does really well, set up good tactically, but our players need to implement it with enough energy, enough hunger and desire. I don't even care if you don't have hunger and desire, enough energy, intensity. Make the structure work and we win.
That's the number one. Enough energy and intensity, the intent. And Southampton aren't a team that we've been, mopping the floors with. They've actually been decent against us in recent times.
Today was atrocious with our energy. I cannot believe we did not close down those guys, especially people like Modric and Cruz and stuff who could play that one-touch little flicks. And it was really, really poor.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like this. I don't know. This Kante as an attacking midfield, attacking eight thing, because why? I don't want Kante pressing forward there so much when we probably would need him in that pivot position, more defending.
Correct.
Whereas we could have had a Mount playing in a midfield three doing that position instead of having to track back from the wing to defend. Things like these little things is like why it makes me wonder.
N'Golo Kante at one stage was inside the box when Reece James delivered a cross.
Yeah, this is Allegri-esque. This is Allegri-esque. We're playing Rabiot on the wing right now. But
I can't, bro. It's mad. And I've said this so long ago, many videos ago. I said I don't like N'Golo Kante in a situation where we come up against teams that defend well, organized defense. He finds himself in strange positions, man. And in this match, there was no need for him to, as Ryan said, no need for him to press. Although like that should be Mason Mount doing that, and then Kante and Jorginho behind him. Not Kante, the first man out there. It's mad. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, look, we got to start changing the things around against Southampton first of all, and then we need to build some sort of momentum moving into Real Madrid. If we drop points against Southampton, I don't know what we're going to do against Real Madrid. I think the Real Madrid game is next week. I'm pretty certain. It's next week, right? Or is it 2 weeks break now? Where's the Real Madrid game?
No, it's next week. It's Tuesday, I think. 12th.
Yeah, it's next week. Yeah, it's next week. 13th. Wow. 13th. Woo! That is 12th for Europe. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please make sure to smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Check out Ryan and his socials. The link is in the description. Ryan, any parting words to say before we go?
No, man. It was a really good show. Always enjoy being here with you, Miz. Hopefully, I could do more watch-alongs and be a bigger part.
Watch-alongs are mad, huh? Watch-alongs are good, huh?
Especially Chelsea ones. It's more intense, right? It's more intense. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun being on this channel, despite us being in a rough patch. It's fun with good friends like you around, and everybody who comments and stuff makes it much more fun too.
You're absolutely right. But good friends, yeah, good friends, good community make it all the better. Ladies and gentlemen, take care and see you later very, very soon.